Be with Chrissy. I think we should take a moment and high five ourselves and say job well done this week. Even if you had hiccups, we're here and we're discussing it. So that means that at least something went right this week. Sorry about the last couple weeks and my how do I say it? My sporadicness, my emotional up and downness, if you will. Because I think it was actually quite cleansing now that I can get on the other side and actually pay attention to what the hell just happened to me. Which actually leads me to so many things I wanted to talk about today. And I'm just like, where do I start? So then I thought about a couple of different ways to approach it. And here's what I decided. Yesterday, when I went to help mom, we were taking a shower and I just happened to notice that she wasn't or isn't reacting to the showers like she used to. Like she just, there was a conversation about how she hated it, how it was terrible for many, many, many months. Okay. So yesterday I'm like, hey mom, I'm like, I feel like you might be enjoying the shower thing a little bit more. Did my skills get better? And she's like, no, my attitude did. I was like, okay, right? Like, okay. And it really, really made me think about a few 100,000 things that have been happening. And I just want to share them with you. So, first of all, it really brought awareness to the fact that um they are working just as hard to figure out what's going on with them as we're working to figure out what's going on with them, right? And so I feel like sometimes we might miss that and because when you get so hijacked with things, especially if things are not going the way you want them to or thought they would for frankly, I think that what happens is our capacity reduces, right? So when our capacity reduces, our ability to get curious about what's happening in the situation or to us or to the person that we love is really also diminished, okay? So if we don't if we don't get that curiosity, we then ultimately don't get the understanding. And I think that what's happening to all of us through Coffee with Chrissy is just that understanding, right? Like just like what the hell is happening to me or the situation or the things, right? And what I think I figured out is the understanding that we create together helps us all kind of adjust and take a different perspective and adjust our attitude, right? So I always say once you know why something's happening, you can accept, adjust, and move on, right? But what I don't think I realized until these last couple weeks is that you have to have the capacity to be able to adjust and move on. So which leads me into my next conversation, right? Like going into to life and life keep happening and all the things. And what I discovered is that sometimes you have to dump and reload. How you dump is different for everyone, but it needs to happen nonetheless, right? You have to dump and reload because there comes a time many times across this journey where I think if you think back, you'll recognize where something changed. Maybe it was dramatically changed or something changed enough to put a wrench in your current system. It changed and it could be a good change or a bad change. So for instance, Jeff is better. Yes. How do I set my expectations? How much do I worry? Like, please don't move. You're going to hurt yourself. But then on the other side of my brain, I'm like, are you going to move soon? Like, what should I expect from you? Should I expect you to go? I don't know. That's my point. Okay. So even when good things happen, uncertainty happens, right? It throws a whole monkey wrench in how you think, how you react, how you respond. And you go from a whole different level of hijack for things that are bad, and all of a sudden now you're in this hijack for something's good, and you waited so long for all the things to be good, and now you it's here and you just don't even know. um what the actual hell is going on, right? Like now I it is a little good. How do I be here? How do I do this, right? So so my dump and reload was not only Jeff's better, my dump and reload was the fact we went through a lot of grant stuff since I last talked, and we ultimately ended up not doing the grant. And it's because we don't our goal is not to chase the carrot. Our goal is to change the system, to impact the system. And so now I really understand how we do that through the things we've done in the last year and a half, and through this whole process. Did I also mention I'm on new medicine, right? So that has ultimately been mind blowing all in itself. And I think it really speaks to kind of also what I'm going through is that all of a sudden my brain is aligned enough to put all the things together, like all the emotions I just decided to do later, and the state I was in, it allowed me to do those later. And now it's not allowing me to do that. It's a deal with it now and let's move on. Let's get our head out of our booty. So, so that's been different, right? But it's also been a certain kind of awakening. And so then there's other stuff going on, blah, blah, blah. Life happens, right? But my point is, when all that is going on at once, it is so hard to get your foot on the ground. And if you've been watching me before, you'll know that I use the analogy of like the time you really got drunk. If you never got drunk, you're good with that. You're lucky. But if you did and you got so drunk that you laid on the bed and the bed started spinning, and the only way to get it to stop at some point is just to put your foot on the ground, right? Well, life is like a bed spin sometimes. And sometimes it's hard to reach the ground. It's hard because everything is changing. You used to have a narrative in your head of how things were supposed to go, how they were going to look. Like this is what I know. I gotta know we can't mess with my schedule, my plan, which is really kind of ironic because I'm the least planning person on the planet. But now don't mess with it, right? Because it really screws me up. So anyway, all this is going on and I'm spinning and I can't get my foot on the ground. And then all of a sudden, I think it was maybe even 2 Fridays ago, like everything came to a head. I think that's the video I did where I was like, everywhere I go pisses me off. Yep, true statement. And I think that was just the precursor of what was actually going to happen the rest of the day. And so I actually sat down and had a meltdown. So one of the things that I guess I can say about Jeff being better is I feel like his capacity is also more. So although he is also struggling with how to be him, and that back to, recognizing they're doing just as much work sometimes as we are, most times probably, and then really having him to talk to, like he has the capacity to listen. And well, frankly, he used to. So it was really nice that way. He really helped me get my feet back on the ground. He really helped me like but through that process, what I determined is that it was all so much, right? So much, so crazy, so I just so much change, so much sitting on my brain, so much things I cannot control. I have no clear what the hell's going to happen, right? That ambiguity of everything that moves forward. So anyway, what actually happened is that I went on the road trip myself to look at the wedding site, to spend some time with myself and try to figure out what the hell was going on. And then just fast forward, because first of all, I would have never went by myself. I would have signed up for some dumb shit, which I did. Actually, I said, Joe, hey, I'll pick you up. I'll pick you up on my way to see the wedding, right? I actually said that. And as I drove there, like it got more and more to the point where I just couldn't. Like, I'm just like, all of a sudden I was crying harder about picking up Joe and putting something else on my plate, and having to be able to show up in a way just was not capable of doing. And I finally had I talk a lot to myself. It must sound like that, right? But it's okay. We have good conversations most of the time. Anyway, I finally called Joe and I just cried. I'm like, dude, I just don't I just need some time alone. I da 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 da. And 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 what I didn't realize was that Joe is the voice of reason. Joe is the one that's gonna say, Mom, you're burnt out. You got a lot going on. You just got to take some time for yourself. Don't worry about me. And I'm like, great, Joe. Thanks. Thanks, man. And all the stories I made up about what Joe might say or might think, none of that was true. None of that was true. So good, good. So fast forward. I think in the last 2 weeks, I've really gotten my bearings back. I've been doing this for 15 years, and for 15 years, I've been putting sessions together. I've been putting classes together. And what I didn't realize until Bob is my AI guy. I should give him a face. I don't know what his face should be, but any Hoosers, Bob is really awesome because I can throw up my brain in Bob and he doesn't judge me. He doesn't judge me. He doesn't do anything. So there was like 5,000 times I wanted to respond to this grant shit and just be just mad, right? And he's like, "No, I don't think you want to do that." I'm like, "I know, but ugh." And then when things kind of settled down and it was all over and I could have a voice in all the things, Bob and I sat down and we didn't go from an angry place. We went from, hey, look at what we learned. Look at what we learned. Look at the difference between looking as something like from a human perspective versus a system perspective, like good God. Anyway, different story. But my point is he's really helped me collect my thoughts. And the discovery has been so far is like in all these years of all the Chrissyisms and all the things that I've thought and all the things that I've come up with, I've actually really developed a philosophy. A philosophy on things, language, people, humans, how we process things. And so it also then took a whole nother step with the dementia essentials that didn't get funded. It took it to a whole nother step because all these years I didn't have a lane. I couldn't find my lane. Maybe that was is a better way to say that. I couldn't find the lane in which I belonged. And in this last week, I've totally found my lane. And the lane is between diagnosis and daily life. Think about that for a second. In every healthcare system that we travel, there is nobody in that lane, right? There's nobody, there's 1,000 people to walk into the room, including social workers. And I know this because I am one, to give you all of the things, all of the resources, all of the things that you could do next, right? What it could look like next. And especially through this whole journey with mom, there was not one person that said, "So, how do you envision this going when you go home?" Or, "How is this going to impact your guys' daily life?" Or, "How are you feeling about what's happening? You've been here 17 days. It's really got to be quite something on your brain. How can I support you?" What? So my point is it gave me a place to be. Now I have a whole entire lane with a philosophy. So that's really cool, right? And so yeah, so more to come on that, I guess. But then when you look at the professional side, there's also a lane there. And the lane is somewhere between doing to and feeling with people are much two different things. And we have all the supports if you can't do the things, but we have zero support if you can't feel all the things, right? And what I'm finding out is that I'm switching up kind of some of the stuff I'm doing, and I'm actually going into facilities and having coffee with Chrissy. I don't bring my poop and dog mug, but it would be a good centerpiece. Um, to just have a conversation about what are you holding around, what is it looking like, what is going on, like, um, because here's what I know: our professionals are not inhuman. What makes them effective, the most effective, is their humanness. And we knew nothing to support that. There's nothing. Do you know that we all, I'm sure we all to some degree carry stories of COVID and trauma and all that. But I want you to think about our healthcare professionals. I cannot believe how many people, well, I can believe it actually, because think about this. If you are the kind of healthcare professional that has always believed that someone should not die alone, what did COVID do to you? What did it do? I'll tell you what it did. It left you with stories in your head about how you didn't do enough, how you just didn't do enough. You can't tell me about what enough would have looked like or what you would have done instead, but we've never had a conversation to sit down and say, "Hey, what is rattling around in your head about different things," right? And I don't think we've ever done that. And what I'm finding through the coffee with Chrissy with the staff is that's the place I've always wanted to create, to be able to help staff have a conversation and have learning and growing moments about how to deal with yourself at that moment, instead of me giving you all kinds of tools that you'll potentially remember. And if one works for you, you're definitely going to remember, right? But I think we can do better as far as how we bring that to people. So anyway, I'm so excited that I actually found my lane, because I hadn't for so many years, and I'm trying to like fit into systems, and I'm trying to meet systems where they're at. And what I learned through this whole grant thing, um, there are some systems that really will, I think they could move if the person that's in charge of moving them is open enough to realize they're not the smartest person in the room. To realize that we've been doing things in such a transactional way for so many years. And when we now are boots on the ground and we now are living what we're trying to support, you can't do it from a transactional perspective. You have to do it from a transformational perspective, which is right the different that why dementia essentials is successful, is because it's between diagnosis and daily life. Okay, now you told me which systems, healthcare systems, are designed to help you figure out what the hell's going on, but there's no system within that to help you figure out what the hell now, right? And so I don't know, I found that and I feel very happy about that. But to get systems to change, to get systems to realize that you got to build the vehicle to deliver the service, instead of trying to drop services in people's laps that have no flipping idea how it even it integrates with my life. Right. Like, and that only comes from building relationships, back to my philosophy, because you have to get the capacity to get curious about the respite in order to figure out where it belongs, how you can accept it in your life, adjust your life, and move on, because it theoretically is supposed to help you instead of giving you a big old freaking heart attack. So I don't know, I digress. I just had to say it out loud. I get so pissed off, like, oh my god, it's so easy if you just listen. And I think what irritates me the most is that we are boots on the ground now. And where I left this organization 20 years ago, um, they're still sitting in the same spot trying to do the same thing and still getting the same result. So we're going to move on and we're going to build something that we know that works and continue building on what we know that works, as well as make it replicable so other communities can do the same thing, because I think personally this is the road to success. I honestly think it is. So now we just got to get somebody to help fund us. But in the meantime, we're doing it anyway. So, yeah, wish us luck. But I don't think we need luck. We have a clear vision and a clear direction. So I think that's what also irritates me the most is that we weren't asking to build something. We built it. They're coming. Help us get more to deliver the service you've had such a hard on about for the last 20 years. Sorry. Anywho, I digress. So back to kind of where we started from is that, you know what happened to me? I got curious. I got enough capacity to get curious. Um, and let me just tell you, I'm gonna go back to this because I was reminded of this week. Like, our people are sick on the inside. We are sick on the outside. And when I say sick, I mean there is nothing that happens to them that doesn't impact us. Like watching someone in pain. That is not easy. That is the least easy thing that we do, right? I could clean up 97 piles of vomit or any other bodily function, frankly, I do not enjoy way farther than watching somebody suffer. So, kind of back to what I was talking about, we don't need instructions on how to do stuff to people. We need instructions on how to be with people. And I hope that's what we're all figuring out here, because we're just travelers and we're just trying to figure it out. But think about, think about, think about leaning in a different way. Like I always said to lean in, like when we change our stories, right, we can lean in different, and I don't think it's really leaning in anymore. It's really yeah, it's not leaning in. It's really adjusting our attitude towards it, because think about it. This thing just invaded your house. It's living with you. You're like, what the shit is it doing here? We don't make space for it because we spent all of our energy trying to kick it out of the house, which we should. Okay. But when we spend that much energy trying to get it out of the house and get away from it and get it back to that piece of normal, there are some diseases that just don't allow us to do that. And so dementia, for instance, there has to be, and I hope I'm teaching people this, you have to move it into your house like your mother-in-law. Right? Like, I don't even know how to say that, but it's kind of the same. It is, right? Like, I always use the recycling. You moved recycling in, you had to make space for it, because whose kitchen has space for that? Not a lot of ours, right? You have to think about every single damn thing you throw away until you figure it out, right? And then you have to put a whole new schedule on your calendar. So tell me how disease is different from that. It's not. We have to make space from it for it. So we wake up, and eventually when we're able to get our brains to start working, we wake up and say, what does this Gulf War business need from us today? What does it need? And we figure out what it needs, and then we figure out how to support it, and then we try to figure out how do we live a life in which honors us and not diminishes us to that. Does that make sense? I don't know. I think it's really about being in charge of the journey instead of being at the mercy of it. I think that's the difference. But anyway, apparently I've talked a long time today, and I cannot see your comments. I'm going to spend some time learning how to do this. So, oh, maybe I can. Hang on. Never miss a comment. Oh, no, that wasn't you. That was somebody else. That was the thing. Anyway, I can't get to it. Piss on it. It will drive me nuts. So, anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I hope my couple weeks of what the shit actually is helping you, because it sure did help me to talk about it today. So I appreciate you for listening and taking the time. If you know anybody that could use some clarity, please hook them up. Yeah. And if you're really struggling, can I just say this? Just message me privately, okay? Like, I don't know what I can do, but I will try to do something. And what I know for sure is that over the last 15 years is that if you hang out with me for a little bit, God's given me the gift to help you feel a little better before you leave. So I'm taking that gift and running. So but today's joke is this. What do you call an indecisive potato? A hesitator. Sorry, I know it's sick, but you gotta give me something. So, you guys have a wonderful week. We will see you next week. And remember, all you can do is the next right thing, and you totally got this. Peace out. Take care. Bye bye.